Honestly, some brands out here will lowball you and they will take advantage of you the first chance they get. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jalyn. I'm a content creator and I'm also a huge advocate for pay transparency and equity in the influencer marketing industry, especially for Black creators. I've had the pleasure of working with brands like Lancome, Armani Beauty, Maybelline, Neutrogena, Kiehl's, and I have negotiated every single one of my partnerships by myself.
I actually did it myself. Yeah.
I actually used to work in digital marketing, so I've seen the paid media budgets, I've seen the marketing budgets, and I know how many dollars brands are putting behind these influencer marketing campaigns. I also read a lot of vendor contracts at my old job, and I worked with our legal team, so I was able to see what they were negotiating, flagging, and redlining in contracts. I have really refined my negotiating skills, so I want to share 3 tips on how to negotiate with brands. Tip number 1, you have to understand the terminology. Influencer marketing is still a fairly new industry, so there are no textbooks, there are no guidelines, there are no laws about these terms. The most common negotiating terms that I'm going to define are usage, exclusivity, and whitelisting. Usage, or usage rights as it's sometimes called, describes the type of media or outlets that your content can be used in. Some examples are full digital rights, which means that the brand can basically use your content in any type of digital media, whether that's paid or organic. Usage terms are typically discussed in time frames, so it would be a number of months or years or in perpetuity, but I would not recommend giving brands perpetual usage of your content. Paid media is when a brand puts dollars behind your content, and then organic media is when the content is used on the brand's owned media channels. Exclusivity means that you are excluded from working with the brand's competitors. And those could be a list of competitors that they provide, or it could be competitors from that whole industry or category. Again, exclusivity is discussed in timeframes as well, like days, weeks, months, etc. And whitelisting is when a brand boosts your content from your page. This is a form of paid media because the brand is paying for your content to be boosted. Okay, I know that was a lot, child. I know that was a lot, okay? But it will get easier with practice. You'll start to comprehend the terms more. Child, you're going to be using this lingo back and forth with brands. You just wait. And if you ever don't understand something, just ask the brand for clarification. There is nothing wrong with that. Tip number 2, you have to set your rate. And your rate is how much you're going to charge the brand for the deliverables that they are requesting. You should have a rate for every type of content that you offer. So you should have a rate for an Instagram reel, a TikTok, a YouTube video, an Instagram story. And when it comes to setting your rate for these items, you have to consider your experience level. You can consider your social media analytics, like your engagement rate, your follower count. You should also consider the quality of content that you produce and the time and effort that it takes you to produce content. Outside of the rate for the content itself, you have these like add-ons that are additional charges. These include things like usage, exclusivity, whitelisting, a link in bio fee, a rush fee. So when a brand requests your rate for an Instagram story, a reel, a TikTok, link in bio for 2 weeks, and they need it all by Friday, you should be able to deliver that rate to them on a silver platter. Things can really add up, but that's how you should be setting up your rate. Tip number 3, you have to use strategic thinking. Now that we have our ducks in a row, we can really get into the meat of the negotiating process, which happens after you send your rate to a brand. So this is the back and forth that's between you and the brand. This is where strategic thinking and really logic comes into play, because you have to be thinking about things from the brand's perspective. You kind of also have to be one step ahead. So when you do one thing, what are the possible outcomes? You want to make sure that you are getting paid what you're worth, because honestly, some brands out here will lowball you and they will take advantage of you the first chance they get. So once you send your rate off to the brand, there are a few different scenarios that could happen. And because we're using strategic thinking, we already have a plan in place for each one of these. The potential outcomes are that the brand could accept your rate, the brand can negotiate your rate, or the brand can walk away. I'm gonna keep it a stack, okay? 9 times out of 10, the brand is gonna negotiate. There have been very few instances where a brand has accepted my rate as is. It's just not likely because the brand wants to get the most value for the least amount of money. So when the brand comes back and says that your rate is out of their budget or they come back with a counter offer, there are a couple things that you can do to make sure that you still negotiate in your favor. You could negotiate their counter offer and potentially take out some of the deliverables if the rate is too high, or you can try to negotiate other assets that are valuable to you. These are things like asking for more product of what the brand is sending, asking for a gift card so you can shop from the brand's website and buy whatever you want, or asking for commissions and affiliate sales. So that way you can kind of recoup some of the money that you're missing out on because of their budget. Now, I personally would not negotiate with those assets right off the bat. Those are just something to keep in your back pocket, okay? Because what you really want is that cold hard cash, that cash money. So if you're comfortable, you can negotiate the brand's counter offer because sometimes, I don't know, these brands, they be having a little wiggle room in that budget sometimes, okay? But don't ever feel like you have to justify your rate. Your rate is your rate. You should not have to explain why you charge the way you do. Like when I was first starting out, I would try to justify why my rates were so high. I would say like, I have super high quality content, my engagement rate is X amount, and it's almost just like wasted breath because the brand knows this already. Girl, they know. That's why they came to you. I also want to mention some things that are non-negotiables for me. Like these are things that I need to be paid for or I'm walking away. And that includes paid usage and perpetual usage. It's like my ears perk up when I hear those terms. Like, you not finna put my face on a billboard 12 years from now and not pay me. Negotiating really boils down to thinking strategically and advocating for yourself because no one else is gonna do it. It's scary, I know, but you won't get better at it if you don't practice. And you can't practice if you don't negotiate at all. So don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Ask the brand for clarification if you don't understand something and get in the habit of negotiating. Your content is valuable and you deserve to be paid for it, okay? I'll see you guys in my next video.